Hello, everybody. My name is Johnathan Carr. Been in the electrical industry for over 25 years and been in the fire alarm industry uh, for almost a decade now. And I specialize in AES radios and monitoring and all those types of things. So if you have some real weird questions and stuff, I'm always a really good resource for you. Today, we're going to start by introducing some of the terms and acronyms associated with monitoring so that everyone has at least a little exposure to the language. As a part of that topic, we'll also touch on when and why fire alarm monitoring is required. Then we'll move into the importance of information management. It is interesting, when we were putting our presentation together, we originally had information management as a wrap-up topic. We realized that we were sort of burying the lead. Probably the most important part of monitoring is the management of information. Information about the monitored site, the response personnel, procedures to follow if some sort of emergency occurs, and the ability to access history about the activity within the system being monitored. Next, we'll explore the different types of monitoring. Our focus is on fire alarm, of course, but there are similarities and synergies in understanding what else might benefit from offsite monitoring. We'll wrap it up with the technical stuff, the different communication technologies, going through the advantages and disadvantages of each. So in the fire alarm world, we're almost always start by defining the authority having jurisdiction, or AHJ. This is anyone or entity that has some say in what you have to do to meet their requirements and generally define the repercussions of not following these requirements. More often than not, we're talking about the fire marshal's office and their fire inspectors. These can be local city inspectors. Sometimes the county and state will be involved, depending upon the size of the community or the type of business. Smaller community, they may not have the tax bases to have their own department and will be under the jurisdiction of the county or neighboring larger city. Or in a hospital, for instance, has to comply with licensing laws of the state, so the state will be one of their AHJs. It can also include your insurance company. It's not unusual for your insurance rates or even the ability to be insured at all that your facility be monitored. The best example would be that of Factory Mutual or FM Global. FM is usually a factor at high value or high risk facilities. If you're one of those, you probably have a set of FM requirements on your bookshelf. When FM is involved, they require that the products and services, like fire alarm equipment and monitoring services, be FM approved. We'll mention too that Underwriters Laboratories or UL listing is a requirement for fire products and monitoring services. Most jurisdictions maintain a list of central station monitoring companies, or CSMs, that are pre-approved to monitor fire alarm systems in their area. The International Building Code, or IBC, and International Fire Code, IFC, are where you'll find the when you're required to have central station monitoring. These codes are published by the Internal Code Council, reviewed, usually modified to some degree, and then adopted into law in each state. For the most part, the code says that if you have fire alarm or fire sprinkler systems, you're required to monitor it off-site. The most common way to do that is through a central station. National Fire Protection Association, or NFPA, specifically the NFPA 72, is referenced by the building and fire codes to detail how monitoring systems should operate. It addresses the central station itself, the monitored facility, and communication between the building and CSM. NFPA also defines inspections testing, and maintenance requirements. If you're interested in more detail about ITM requirements, let us know. We can help with that. We'll bring in a few other terms and acronyms as we move through the presentation, but we'll finish off the slide with a quick definition of three primary conditions that are transmitted by the fire alarm panel to the central station. First, an alarm indicates the building is on fire and has activated evacuation signals in order to alert occupants to get out of the building. What the central station does at that point is programmable, but usually they dispatch the local fire department and contact the building owner or manager to let them know that the fire department is on their way. A supervisory signal indicates the system is compromised in some way. Evacuation is not underway, but some device or system supervised by the fire alarm has been activated. An example of this would be if someone has turned off the water to the fire sprinkler system. There's an electrical switch attached to all sprinkler valves that monitors the fact that the valve is open. If it is closed, there's no water available to put out the fire when a sprinkler head is activated. Generally, the central station wouldn't call the fire department for this type of thing, but would contact the owner so that they could get it turned back on. Lastly, the transmission of a trouble signal happens when the system is broken or failing in some way. Something like a low battery, a smoke detector is dirty or been removed. Even a broken wire will send a trouble. All of those things are supervised electronically by the fire alarm. This will usually prompt a call to the owner or designated maintenance personnel. Most often, something has to be fixed rather than just reset.